The unholiest terror of...
No one will be seated during the last...
Pray for day.
Wake up, sweetie.
5 more minutes.
Okay, Billy. But you're beginning to make this a habit.
Can I invite Julie over for my birthday dinner?
Billy's got a girlfriend. Billy, you don't do that. That's disgusting.
I'd like you to meet me in my office right after you shower, all right?
All right, check it out. Look at him, will you? The coach's #1 wimp. Hey, Lynch, next time keep your queer hands off of me, okay?
Okay to remove the body?
Yeah, go ahead.
You buy attempted rape?
No. Do you?
Poor guy didn't even get his pecker out.
Turn around.
No!
Miss Roberts!
Lieutenant, you seem to have something on your mind. I'd like to know what it is.
A man got killed, supposedly, by a woman who's claiming attempted rape. The man was a homosexual. I have a responsibility to find out whether or not Aunt Cheryl is covering for Billy, and whether or not he's a homosexual, too.
That's ridiculous.
Hi, this is Lori Lafine, and we're on Hysteria Continues.
And indeed we are. Welcome back to the Hysteria Continues after an extended break, which has had more twists and turns and plot reveals than a Spanish soap opera. So we'll come on to that in a little bit. But just to say, what we're covering this time is Night Warning from 1982, a.k.a. Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. And this was a choice of... Do we remember? Do we know? Joseph?
Actually, we're veering off.
We're veering off. So it's Nathan's choice then. So Nathan's.
I love that movie, Nathan's Choice.
Yes, me too. It was heart wrenching.
Yes. Is that like you have to choose, like Sophie's Choice? You have to choose between Toya or Susie.
Yes, I was faced with that awful decision.
No, but Nathan's decision would be between like Blood Lake or Terror of 10 Killer.
That is probably true.
Oh man.
He only has two. It's 2 videos, but he can only save 1.
Oh, I don't know which one I'd save either.
Heartbreaking, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one to ponder, but maybe you'll have an answer for us at the end of the show, Nathan. But actually, talking of answers, Nathan has also devised a mini quiz to welcome back Erik.
Yay!
Erik has.
I was gone, then I was back again.
Yes.
Pretty quickly.
So yes, we had Erik jump ship and then jump back on again. So we're very glad to have him back, and I know, given the outpourings of sympathy and grief on the Facebook pages, people would have missed Erik hugely.
Oh, thank you.
Erik.
Well, what happened was that it was just getting too difficult to schedule time to do the podcast, so I said maybe I should leave. Then as soon as I left, I was like, oh no, I don't want to leave. So the next day I was like, I'm back again.
I know.
It was as simple as that, really.
Yeah, we tried everything, or we looked at all the clauses. There's no way we can make it stick and boot Erik out for good. So reluctantly, he's back in the fold. But no, anyway, joking. It's obviously good to have you back, and obviously otherwise Erik would have left a massive hole, which would have been very difficult to fill. Mm-hmm. So, but this time,
something about my bottom.
No, of course not, Erik. Obviously, that would be very childish. But, we're talking about this, one of the infamous video nasties this time. But before we do that, and this is, I forgot to say, it's episode 135, so 135, in case you're keeping count. We'll be talking about Nathan's Choice in a little bit. But shall we have, because we haven't recorded since, it wasn't, since Jason Goes to Hell, which was about a month and a half ago.
The end of January, wasn't it? Was it?
Yes,
I thought it was Axum was the last one we did.
Axum was the last one, yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay, oh, right.
Yes.
Well. Oh, well, Axum nearly broke the Hysteria Continues. Well, I've tried very hard. Axum almost broke us. But we, like the villain in a slasher movie, you can't keep us down.
Well, I always thought that it was sort of like Axum almost broke us, but we finally came back together, and it was like, if we could make it through that, then we can make it through anything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just found it astonishing we finally found a film that Nathan doesn't like.
Yes. Well, I don't like Silent Rage either.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
But we've already done Silent Rage, so there's not much left out there. Although, of course, given that you chose this, I imagine this is a film that you enjoy, Nathan, but that's kind of shooting the gun a little bit. So should we talk about what we've been watching recently? And Erik, as you're back in the fold, do you want to regale us?
Okay, just a few things. Kayako versus Sadako, which is probably pronounced incorrectly. This is the Ring and Grudge crossover movie that came out of Japan recently. I know Rings has been in the cinema recently. I didn't catch up with it, but from all accounts I hear it's supposed to be dreadful. So this is the sort of the new Japanese one, which merges the two sort of J-horror, giant franchises from the, last decade. But for the bulk of the film, it's basically a Ring movie. Someone is cursed by the video, and they decided the best way to defeat Sadako's curse is to bring the television to the house from the Grudge on the seventh night, so that the two entities will kind of emerge at the same time and battle each other and hopefully kill each other. That's kind of the logic behind the movie. But for the bulk of the film, it is more or less a Ring movie. The Grudge is kind of pushed to the background a bit, which is a disappointment for me because I'm more of a fan of the Grudge series than I am of the Ring series. But I don't know if I'm just weary of J-horror or if the film is a bit lackluster, but I didn't enjoy it that much. I found it a bit of I found it dull and a bit plodding. It's not awful, but I just found it all a bit ho-hum. I don't know if anyone else has caught it yet.
I would have had you pegged more of a
yes.
man.
I was waiting for this. Yes. Yeah.
Well,
yes. Bravo, Justin.
Thank you.
No, I take it nobody else has seen this.
No. Is it?
I haven't seen it.
When did it come out?
It came out on my Xbox.
Oh, I see. Right, one of those.
My famous Xbox. Yeah, it was there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the other one I did see, and this is a legitimate release, although I didn't pay for it. Beyond the Darkness, which is out on 88 Films. We did a commentary track for their release of Absurd, which is it out yet, Justin?
It is out. Yes, you can buy it.
Actually, you have a clip there. Actually, this is a little taster of our. If you want to, hear a little teaser for our commentary track, this is it.
Thought that it was in fact a midget, a nude midget rather than a child.
So there you go. It's in fact a nude midget rather than a child. If you want to hear more of that commentary, go out and buy Absurd by 88 Films.
Yeah, so even though I'd said that, I couldn't actually remember what it was until you reminded me. So
yes,
what we were talking about in that context.
Yeah,
so.
It's what happened was I flicked on the commentary track just to hear the start of it, and then I was skipping through the chapters, and when that clip comes to the start of chapter 3, and I just thought, that sounds kind of weird. Anyway, Beyond the Darkness is another Joe D'Amato film. This is the one he made just before he did Anthropophagus and Absurd. And again, it's I don't know if you guys have had a chance to watch it yet. I find it a sort of a fun little movie. It's certainly more plot heavy than the average Joe D'Amato movie. It's about a guy who can't accept that his fiancée has died and uses his skills of taxidermy to preserve her body. And there's one particular scene that's very graphic, albeit the special effects are kind of crude. So it has a few things, I suppose, in common with Night Warning, in that it's about somebody who is unwilling to let go of a loved one, and they go a bit loopy and start killing people around them. I think it's one of Joe D'Amato's finest movies. As I said, there's more going on plot-wise than in his usual films, which have a tendency to amble along as if they're being made up on the spot. This one, you certainly get the feeling that there was a script in place before the camera started rolling. So I would recommend Beyond the Darkness. As I said, have you guys had a chance to watch it yet? Because I know we all got copies from 88 Films.
No, I didn't get a copy yet.
No? Oh, don't mention the war. Ooh.
I'm sure it'll be on the way. If you don't get it, Nathan, let me know and I shall chase it up for you. But I'm sure it's probably held at customs or something.
Yeah. But I found it a fun movie, good stuff. So a thumbs up from me. Certainly far better than Sadako versus Kayak Woman, whatever it's called.
I've seen that years ago, and I've got the Blu-ray, but so I'm looking forward to watching it again. But I just remember that the housekeeper eating meat is particularly disgusting, isn't it? It's really greasy. Yes. It's like that scene. I don't know if you've seen Old Boy, the scene where he eats the octopus. It's kind of like that. I've avoided that. So, I did watch the Absurd extras with George Eastman talking about Joe D'Amato, which is quite interesting.
I haven't watched them yet. Does he have nice things to say?
Yeah. He was talking about his career, and also Mikhail Swathi was talking about Joe D'Amato as well. There's an interview on there on the Absurd disc.
Does George Eastman discuss his massive phallus that we can see through his tight jeans at the very start of Absurd?
No, he doesn't mention that, but no. He's but I wouldn't recognise him actually looking at him now. But they're definitely discs worth picking up. So check them out.
Okay, that's it from me for recently seen.
Okay, well, thank you, Erik. Joseph, how about you?
Well, I caught up with The Barn, which is that retro 80s throwback slasher film that was crowdfunded about a year or so back. And they did a really, really outstanding job, kind of marketing this thing. I mean, they made everything from toys to video games to board games, the faux grindhouse trailers. And, watching the film, I have to give it like 5 out of 5 stars for its set design alone. I mean, it deserves, high praise for all the detail that goes into this thing, not only looking like, a mid to late 80s slasher film, but, just having such wonderful cinematography. Unfortunately, I could probably only give the movie itself like a 2.5 out of 5. I don't know. I just found the characters are just so forgettable. They're not hateful or anything. I didn't care about anyone. I was just kind of enamored by all the set design, the costume design, to really care about the story, which is kind of protracted, and the characters. So it's kind of a swing and a miss, sort of, but yet a swing and a home run at the same time. So, a marginal thumbs up, especially just for its set design alone. But, the plot structure is just kind of boring to me. I'm sorry to say.
I see on IMDb it's directed by Justin Seaman.
Eric.
But also, one of the actors in it is Ari Lehman, who was the very first Jason in the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah, he has like a blink and you'll miss it kind of jokey cameo in the film.
All right.
Yeah.
I've not seen it.
I mean, I would recommend this just to, marvel at the detail that went into this, but otherwise I was just kind of disappointed.
Nathan, have you seen it?
I did, but I don't really remember anything about it.
That's not a good recommendation then, is it?
No.
I'm very sorry. I don't remember disliking it. I just don't remember it.
Okay.
Where can one see this film?
You can buy the DVD off their website. I guess it's thebarn.com. I don't remember, but yeah, you can get it there. I bought the DVD because I was going to crowdfund it, but the fundraiser ended before I had a chance to. But I bought the DVD. It's like the big special edition DVD because I really wanted to see it, and it just looks so great. But
All right. Well, thank you, Joseph. Anything else?
Yes, I caught up with the Netflix series, the Santa Clarita Diet, which is the Drew Barrymore and Timothy Oliphant show. Basically, without giving too much away, although it's kind of, hinted at in the teasers and everything, Drew Barrymore's character inexplicably becomes a half human, half zombie hybrid, I guess you'd call it. And, at first she starts eating raw animal meat to kind of satiate her lust for blood and flesh and all that stuff. And then eventually she finds she doesn't have a taste for that anymore, so she has to move to, human remains. And it's kind of a zombie comedy, and I was kind of weary of that, but it's really well done. The comedy's, kind of gross out yet silly, over the top silly. I just find, Drew Barrymore is so likable in the lead role, but I think Timothy Oliphant really steals it with some really good comic timing. I think it's like 10 episodes. Each episode's like 20 minutes long, so it's like, it's quick and easy to digest, as it were. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I saw it. I watched it all. I thought it was really good fun. It's kind of it's silly, isn't it? It hasn't got a mean bone in its body, for a better term. It's kind of, it is what it is, but it's kind of almost like a kind of not Aeroplane type spoof, but that kind of madcap. It's kind of like a madcap comedy, really, isn't it?
Like I'd say it's kind of like it's a mad world, sort of, kind of that Frank, those old.
So it's like the Cannonball Run.
Yes, it's like Cannonball.
What? I was messing.
It's sort of like that for zombies. It's just so silly and just kind of there's all kinds of sight gags and just really, really good dialogue, I think. Just, throwing a lot of zingers and puns, and they all stick for the most part. So.
I was interested to read that because Drew Barrymore's vegetarian, how they recreated body parts out of tofu, I think it was. Or rice, actually. I think there's rice as well, mixed with red food colouring.
Oh, see, I didn't know she was a vegetarian.
Yeah. So they learn something new. It's educational. The Hysteria continues.
Yeah.
Nathan, have you seen that?
Yes, I watched all of it too. I thought it was really funny. There was one scene that we really were laughing really hard at. It was with the dead body, and it the dead body it farts. I didn't know if real dead bodies did that. I guess they do.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, isn't there that film with Daniel Radcliffe all about that?
Oh yeah, there is, and I've seen that movie. But anyway, yeah, like that scene, I thought it was absolutely hysterical. I mean, mainly because of Drew Barrymore's reaction to it. So.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you, Joseph. Anything else?
No, that's all I can think of at the moment.
Okay. Well, thank you. Nathan, how about you? What have you been watching?
I saw Split.
Oh, saw that. Forgot. But you go ahead.
New M. Night Shyamalan movie. I really liked it. I thought that it's one of those movies that doesn't waste any time getting started. I mean, the kidnapping is within the first 5 minutes, and the whole rest of the movie is about that. So, I mean, I thought that it was really tense at times. I thought the cast all did a really good job, especially James McAvoy. I thought he was great as the crazed multiple personality. But no, I mean, overall, I thought it was great. I would recommend it. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But yeah, I recommend it.
Cool. I haven't seen that yet. It hasn't come out of the cinema over here yet, has it, Erik?
It has, I think.
Oh, has it?
I think it's been and gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I say it wouldn't pose too much of a problem for you anyway. But
hey,
what? But
we're back to our old tricks again.
Oh yes, it's like a pair of comfy slippers. Thank you, Nathan. Anything else?
I went. Did Joe want to talk about that?
I was just going to say I enjoyed it too. I liked it. Okay. I think Shyamalan's kind of getting his groove back, as it were, with his last couple of films.
I like The Visit. The Visit was good.
Yeah,
good fun.
Yeah, I like The Visit
good
as well.
I like Split. I think it might have been a little too long, but I like the kind of without spoiling too much. Shyamalan's always known for throwing in little last-second twists or surprises, and I really liked the one in Split. I thought that was kind of clever.
Cool, excellent.
The other one I saw was Get Out.
I was wondering if you'd seen that.
Yeah.
I'm always one to say don't ever listen to the hype because just about any movie's going to disappoint you if you listen to the hype and believe the hype. So I went into it just trying to ignore all the hype so far, and I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought that it was clever. There's some humor in it, but the humor to me wasn't over the top. It didn't take away from the overall plot, I didn't think. So I thought that was good. I thought the twist was kind of obvious, but to me that didn't really take away from the movie at all. The movie overall is really fun. It's really weird, and there's a few really good tense moments in it as well. So I would recommend people check it out as well.
Cool. You seen that, Joseph?
No, I was actually going to go see it, and I was unable to. But I'll probably wait until it hits video, I guess.
Well, it's kind of really hit the zeitgeist, doesn't it? I mean, it's Blumhouse, because they did Split as well, didn't they?
I don't think they did Split. I think that was.
Oh, I don't know.
No.
I thought they did.
Yeah, actually, they may have. Yeah, they may have. But
I think there was an article saying about how they were sort of, because I think Get Out was made for like $4.5 million and grossed $30 million in its opening day or something, or opening weekend. So just sort of saying
Split did very well as well, I think, box office wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think horror always has, without wanting to get too deep, because I know Erik doesn't like when you get too deep with things, but just
ow.
No, I don't. I meant that in a sexy way, Erik. Not any.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I meant ow.
Ow. Yeah. No, but it was just say horror often comes into its own, doesn't it? In times of turmoil, and I think obviously Get Out is probably a product of its time, which is why it's kind of touching a nerve. and sort of resonating with audiences. So be really interested in watching that. So when it comes out over here,
Split. Yeah, sorry, Split. I'm just looking up the Wikipedia page for Blumhouse. Split is one of their productions, and it had a budget of $9 million, and it's already grossed $223 million. So they've made a huge profit on that. God. They've also got the Belko experiment coming out soon, which I think looks quite interesting.
I can't wait for that.
It does look like Battle Royale, but still.
Oh, is that the one in the office block?
I do want to see that. Yeah.
Is that the one with the in the office block when they all go to work at a new place and then they all get shut down? And then they get trapped in there. Okay. Yeah, it does look like Battle Royale, but that looks like fun. So, cool. Excellent. Well, thank you, Nathan. Anything else?
No.
No. Okay. Well, the only one I was going to mention is I've just been working on a new review for Hysteria Lives, which is shocking but true, but is a film that I hadn't ever seen before, and it's one that I kind of always been on my radar, is the Linda Blair starring vehicle Grotesque from 1988. Which is kind of like, I've never quite seen anything like it before. It's a film that is incredibly familiar in so much everything in it is kind of incredibly familiar, but it's put together in such a weird way that it's in a league of its own, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Or it's one of those films you can't tell you can't really decide whether it's a good or a really, really bad thing. But essentially, it's the reason it's enough of a slasher movie in so much it starts with. It's got Linda Blair, who goes up to a house in the mountains in the snowy waste with her family, and punks invade, do like a house invasion and kill everyone in there apart from Linda Blair. But there's somebody lurking behind the shadows, a disfigured kind of. I didn't really explain who he is particularly. Person who then goes on to kill the punks one by one in a sort of chasing them around the snowy wastes. But then Tab Hunter turns up in a kind of weird sideways twist, and it turns into something completely different. And then by the end of the movie, you've got two completely what the fuck twists that take it in completely different directions. So if you've not seen it, it's definitely. I mean, I'll be putting up the review fairly soon on Hysteria Lives, but it's an really odd movie, but very, very 80s. I noticed because I was looking at the other film I watched, which we've spoken about, so I won't go, but it's Hide and Go Seek. And that had Bunky Jones. I think, is it Bunky Jones or Bunty Jones? Bunky Jones. But she's in this as well, in Grotesque, the same year, and she plays a punk who has kind of like Susie eye makeup on, and she does all these kind of weird bird sort of sounds. It's a very, very odd movie. But Nathan, you're familiar with with Grotesque, aren't you?
Oh yes, I liked Grotesque. It's one of those movies where, you'll never, I don't think anybody would ever guess on their first time watching it how the movie's going to end. I mean, it's just so far out in left field, because to me, when you read the description and just look at, most of the first half of the movie, I mean, you think it's just going to be, your typical home invasion and then revenge film. But I mean, like Justin said, it just goes off into, real weird, crazy territories. So, I mean, it's complete 80s weirdness. So I highly, highly recommend it.
I love that.
Is it an American movie or is it European?
It's American. You'd love it, Erik, because there's the punks. The director just said to them, "Look, I want you to overact, be as malicious and horrible as possible," and they just overact beautifully. There's all loads of eye rolling and gnashing of teeth, and then they running through the woods, and then they stop and have a little philosophical discussion. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of. But and it's so, even though it's only made 7 years later, it's a world away from Hell Night. Linda Blair's in this kind of horrendous shoulder pads and pastel, and she's got massive hair all the way through it. Even after running all night in the snow, she still keeps her hair big. So I think
that's some powerful hairspray she has.
Absolutely. I think obviously you'd really like Grotesque because obviously you like Toya. So.
I saw that one coming a mile away.
Thank you. Joseph, what about you? Have you seen Grotesque?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but I remember Nathan showed it to me when we were roommates, and I laughed through the whole thing. So I definitely remember liking it. I need to kind of catch up with it again because I don't remember a lot of the little plot details, but I definitely remember all the fashions and just complete overacting from the punks. I do remember that.
Yeah, and it's got Donna Wilkes in it as well, who was in Bloodsong, being chased down, by a flute wielding killer, and also Jaws 2. And there's kind of like a very unsubtle kind of nod to Jaws 2 in this, where one of the characters dresses up as a giant fish and goes at her with a hatchet. So it's
as you do,
yeah. So a kind of a partial recommend. It's one of those films you can't really decide whether or not it's the most amazing thing you've ever seen or the worst thing you've ever seen. So, did you actually, just incidentally, Nathan, when you watched it, did it have the ending in the theatre?
No, I've seen that ending, but the version that I had didn't. It ended on the scene right before the theater moment.
Okay, yeah, I know which one you mean. But yeah, that's even more of a what the fuck kind of moment, which apparently is cut out of a lot of prints, but it was in the Scream Factory version, which I've got. So, but yes, so anyway, so that's us catching up on what we've been watching over the last month and a half. I'm sure there are lots of other bits and pieces, but shall we do your quiz, Nathan? I think it's probably time, isn't it?
Oh, I think it'll be fun.
I'm just trying to think if I've got anything that I can...
cheat with?
Cheat? No, as a sound effect.
He's got Google pulled up already.
Yeah.
There you go. So
if you...
Go on, Nathan.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you have House of Death, you could always use their music.
Well, I have got. What I could play, of course, is.
Fuck you! Go mind your own business.
Anyway, so.
Yay! There you go.
Yeah. So, do you want to start then, Nathan? What's this going to be? We're all very excited.
I hope you are. I mean, this is just a random quiz. I just threw it together for old time's sake. So it'll just be our usual format: points and doors and all that jazz.
And lots of Inga-style crying and tantrums.
Yeah, from Justin. Don't forget who keeps winning these quizzes all the time now. Me.
Oh, very true.
I haven't won in a while. I haven't played in forever, so.
So, alphabetical order, we start with Erik.
Yay.
So.
And also, I'm the sexiest, too.
Actually, wouldn't I be because of my last name?
I'm doing first names.
Yeah.
Because I'm a nonconformist.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now, let me get a pen that works here so I can tally scores. There we go. Okay. All right, so this first round is AKAs. So it's like, it's a, also known as.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Erik, you get to go first. So which door would you like? 1, 2, 3.
Big number 2.
Okay. This movie is AKA C. Donnie Per El Assassino.
Oh, is that Blood and Black Lace?
It is.
Yes.
I can't believe you got it with my awful pronunciation.
I was trying to work out. I didn't even realise that was Italian. I thought it was like I thought it was an anagram.
I thought it was an anagram at the start, and then when he said "poor little assassin," I said, "Okay, that's."
And Nathan was probably out hitting the reefer during his high school Spanish lessons or Italian lessons or whatever.
Well, how dare you? Okay, so Erik got a point. Joseph, you get 1 or 3.
Give me door number 1, please.
Okay, door number 1. Una hatcha para la luna de miel.
Oh, that's Hatchet for the Honeymoon.
Oh. Y'all are doing really good at this.
Well,
it's your excellent pronunciation.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Is it my pronunciation?
It is. It's
like being back in
Moon. Hatchet's obvious. So there.
It's like being back in Naples.
Being back there?
Justin?
So it's like being back in Naples.
It is.
Justin, you get the last one.
Okay.
Okay. Ecologia del Delito.
Bay of Blood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my pronunciation helped on that round.
I think it did. Yes.
Okay.
You're a very good linguist.
All right, so this is our opening credits round. How well do you know opening credits? So we go with Joseph, 1, 2, or 3.
I'll stick with number 1.
Okay, then. All right, this is out of the actors only. Who got fourth billing in the Halloween opening credits?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to say... What is the name? Let's say he got first or she got first. I know who it is. I just can't think of the name off the top of my head. What's the name?
Surely you can Google faster than that.
Yeah.
I'm not Googling. You skinny goth, you. Is it... I can't remember her name. The woman we met.
I'll need the actress's name.
God, it's on the tip.
Amanda by night. You met her.
What's her name? I know her character name. I just can't remember her name. Oh, fuck, what's her name? I'm gonna pass because her name's just not coming to me this early in the morning.
What about you, Justin?
I think. PJ Souls.
Yes.
Yes.
God.
Is she the woman you met?
Yeah, we did meet PJ Souls. Yeah.
Yeah. I just couldn't say the name.
So next is Justin. Would you like door number 2 or door number 3?
I'm going to go for a number 2 this time. Number
2. Who got, out of the actors, who got fourth billing in Prom Night?
Prom Night? Well, it definitely wouldn't have been Jamie Lee. What's his name? Wonder if it was... that wouldn't have been Nilsson, probably. Trying to think. I'm trying to think of the... Is it another? Yeah, I might have to pass on this actually because I can't think. I'm going to say I can't remember his first name. Thingy Nilsson.
No.
No. Okay.
Erik.
Would it be Eddie Benton?
Yes.
Yes. That's who I was thinking of, but I couldn't remember her name.
Okay, so next round starts with Justin.
Hey, I didn't get my.
Oh, I'm sorry,
that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Carry on.
It does matter. Unless, of course, it's passed over when the other people get it.
I inadvertently brought out just for a little bit there. Okay, so Erik, you get door number 3.
Yeah.
Who got fourth billing out of the actors in Terror Train?
Oh, David Copperfield?
No. Joseph?
I don't... Let me think. Because I know Jamie Lee does not get top billing in this film, so let's see. I'm going to say Hart Bogner.
No.
Damn.
Justin?
Is it Ben Johnson?
No. The correct answer is Sandy Curie.
Who?
She played Mitchie.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we come to Justin. You will start this, and it's my favorite How Did They Die round.
Okay.
So, would you like 1, 2, or 3?
I'll go for number 1 this time.
Number 1, Sylvia in Pieces.
Sylvia in Pieces. Sylvia in Pieces. Did she get chainsawed in the lift?
No. Erik.
Did she get stabbed on the waterbed?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. So, Erik, you get next choice, and it's 2 or 3.
I'm going to go for big number 3, I think, this time.
Okay.
Which is a wee and a poo at the same time.
Ramona in House of Death.
Is she shot with an arrow on the merry-go-round?
No. Joseph?
She is cut in half on the stairs.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I remember my Ramona.
All right, Joseph, you get the last one, and it is Scott in Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Scott. I don't remember which one he is. Which one is Scott? Is he the... Let's see. Paul's the lead guy.
Just answer the question, Claire.
No, I never did it. Is he hit in the face with a machete?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so Justin.
I was thinking. I wonder if it was a trick question. He doesn't die, but I don't think that's the case because that's Ted, isn't it? The one who doesn't get killed, the ginger guy. I think. So
he does in the novel.
Does he? Okay.
Apparently.
All right. Okay. Well, Scott, I'm going to say if you didn't get hit in the face with a machete, then is he the one that gets hung upside down and have his throat cut with a machete?
Yes.
Okay.
Boo.
What do you mean,
not
boo?
That I don't want
boo you.
I don't want you to succeed or anything, Justin, but boo.
How magnanimous of you, Eric.
Yeah. Imagine what I'd be like I'd kind of quiz show on the television.
Yes, I can imagine.
Booing my fellow contestants.
You're on Going for Gold. Telling Matthew Kelly to fuck off.
Yeah. That would be me.
Mm-hmm. Or Eric, you get to start this next round.
And
okay.
I'll go for a number 1 this time.
All right. This is dialogue in a slasher movie. So you just got to tell me what movie contains this quote. All right. So number 1, you will scream with terror. You will beg for release, but there will be no escape.
Is this a tagline or is this actually dialogue?
It's actually dialogue in the movie.
You say it again?
You will scream with terror. You will beg for release, but there will be no escape.
Oh, I have no idea. So I'm going to guess Toolbox Murders.
No. Joseph?
You will scream with terror. You will beg for release. Is it the Funhouse?
Yes.
I knew that one as well.
Oh, aren't you so brilliant, Justin? Oh, Justin's so brilliant.
That's what I would have said, Eric. Sorry you failed on that one.
Okay, Joseph, you get the next choice, 2 or 3.
I'll go with number 3.
Okay, number 3. The doctor said he'd never be fit for human company again.
Sounds like Justin.
The doctor said he'd never be fit for human company again.
Yes.
Okay, trying to think. What? I'm assuming this is an 80s slasher movie.
It very much is.
Hey, you're giving him extra clues. I didn't get extra clues.
But it's not going to be Sophie's choice, is it?
Slashers.
Sorry?
It's not going to be Sophie's choice, is it?
Well, you said 80s. It could have been a 70s or a 90s, easily.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I deserve an extra point. What?
An extra point?
Yeah, because I didn't get...
You still...
I'm not taking half an hour to give my answers either.
Yeah, well, next you'll be accusing someone of tapping your phone.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm just going to take a stab in the dark here and say fit for company, the doctor said. Is it Absurd?
No. Justin?
Is it The Burning?
No. Eric?
Is it... Let's see... Halloween.
No. The correct answer is Slaughter High.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Marty.
With Marty Ranson. Okay. So that just leaves, it looks like Justin with door number 2.
Okay.
All right, Justin. The other tenants have been complaining about the front door being left open. I don't really blame them with all the kooks running around killing people they don't even know. You know, it seems to me if you're going to kill someone, you should at least know them real well.
Okay. That is Splatter University.
Yes.
What do you mean? Oh, Erik. Come on.
That was so easy.
Did you know it?
No, but it was so easy.
Okay, now, Joseph, you will start this next round. We got 2 rounds left, and Justin's in the lead.
Yay!
Yes, it's 4, and Erik and Joseph are tied at 3.
I have 3. Wow.
Yay, me.
Yeah.
Erik has 3 inches.
I have more than 3 inches, baby.
Joseph, this is a random round. So, door number 1, 2, or 3.
Why break precedent? Let's stick with number 1.
Okay. What movie is... Well, go away,
what movie is...
Gmail. You got it wrong. What movie is AKA Slasher in the House?
Slasher in... Oh, I know this. Oh, well, actually, that's a Slasher in the House. Oh, Home Sweet Home.
Yep, it is Home Sweet Home. Okay. So now we go to Justin for 2 or 3.
Number 2, please.
Okay. What is the name of the younger sister character in the Slumber Party Massacre?
It's something E, isn't it? Something like Connie or something like that. I can't remember it. Marcy, as a guess, but
No. Erik?
Is it Courtney?
Yes.
I knew it was an E something.
You are all tied right now.
Yay! All tied up
Exciting.
together, being whipped by Nathan's thing.
Thing?
I don't know what I'm talking about.
And it looks like, Erik, you get the last door.
Yes, which is number 3, is it?
Yes. What special occasion is the family celebrating at the beginning of The Mutilator?
Oh, is it Mother's Day?
No.
Oh.
Joseph?
Shut up, you.
What was the question again?
What special occasion is the family preparing for at the beginning of The Mutilator?
Justin actually saying something interesting. That's the special occasion.
Oh, it's the dad's birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done, Joseph.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
Let's see. All right. So Erik ended that one. So now Justin begins.
Okay.
All right. This is the last round.
Yay! Not because I don't want it to keep going on, but it's exciting.
So we shall start with. I mean, this last one is another. How did they die?
Mm-hmm.
Since it's my favorite one to do. So, Justin, would you like 1, 2, or 3?
I'll go for number 1 this time, please.
Okay. Marcy in Friday the 13th.
She got an axe to the face.
Yes, she did.
So easy.
Erik, would you like 2 or 3?
I'm going to go for a number 2 again, I think.
Okay. Kurt in Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Is he the one who's hit with the sort of meat cleaver and sort of twitches like a twitchy thing?
He's hit with what?
Is it a mallet? It's a meat mallet or something. I can't really remember.
Okay. Yes.
Yay!
All right, Joseph, you get number 3. And then all that's left is the bonus question, and that will determine the winner, I guess. So, Joseph, Selena in Movie House Massacre.
Oh, God. I don't remember this. I'm just going to say she was stabbed with a knife.
No. Justin?
She has a bin thrown at her, doesn't she? In a kind of like a vortex. In like everything's flying around the room. Isn't that what happens?
Yes. So you get a point for that, but I also would have accepted sliding down a wall.
Okay. My favourite movie death, I think.
Sliding down a wall. It's a great way to go.
Having a bin thrown at you, and then that's your great demise.
Okay. My bonus question is, I was recently listening to...
Who's this for?
This is just a general question, because it's not something that, I think that any of you are going to get, so I'm just going to see if you do or not.
Hazel Tankersley.
No.
Did I win?
No, this is something that you described, though. It's to honor Eric's return.
Yay.
So I was listening to a particular episode, and Erik describes a scene in particular where he mentions that the low budget was very obvious in a scene on a boat where the shot is the boat in the distance, but the actors are talking like they're right up on the camera. And that was supposed to be the scene. And I want to know, does any of you three remember what movie he's talking about?
Houseboat Horror?
No.
Blood Lake?
Humongous?
No.
What other...
It's Island of Blood.
Ah, yeah.
So who...
Okay, well, we have a tie.
All three of us?
No. Joseph and Justin are tied.
What?
Yay! Yeah, fantastic.
And Erik has 5.
Oh, what a way to welcome Erik back to the show.
Yeah.
Loser.
Well done, Justin.
Quiz was
well done.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Yeah, thank you. It was
Erik, I'll give you an extra point if you could tell me Mrs. Voorhees' first name.
Pamela.
No, it's Veronica.
No, it's not. It's Pamela. So I got. Yeah, we're all winners now. It's in your face.
Oh.
Hey, go me. Woo.
All right. Thank you, Nathan.
That was one of our best quizzes at all three of you being neck and neck. You were all in the lead at one point.
Yeah. And then we all won in the end.
Well,
I got that point at the end. You heard it. Nathan said name Mrs. Voorhees' first name, and I did. So I'm tied.
I don't think that's going to stand up to anything. Anyway, Joseph, it was an honour to play against you.
Poor Erik.
Eric. It's only wonder I wanted to leave.
He's going to leave again.
Yeah, I'm going to leave again now.
What we should have do is like a kind of slamming door sound. See if I can find one.
Yeah. I'm running upstairs.
Running upstairs and slamming the door.
Yeah.
Doing an Erik. But, okay, well, thank you for that, Nathan. But I think it's probably time, given that we're probably already on to, we're almost at the hour point, 52 minutes in, it's probably time we did go on to the feature presentation, which is Night Warning.
Since the death of his parents 14 years ago, Billy Lynch has been raised by his overprotective Aunt Cheryl. But once he turns 17, he is soon set on planning his life without her. He's planning on going to college and is dating a local girl named Julie. None of this sits very well with his aunt, who's lost everyone else in her life, and now, with her nephew ready to leave, she ensures that she starts a campaign to keep him with her forever. That's kind of a little bit of a vague description as to the craziness that actually goes on in this film. I saw Night Warning. It's been years and years ago, back when I was a teenager, and I really loved it. I was, Susan Tyrrell's like scenery chewing performance is just fantastic. I just can't really picture anybody else playing this character, and that's especially true when we get to the trivia, because there's actually some trivia about someone else considered for this role. But I just can't picture anybody but Susan Tyrrell, in this like amount of insanity. I think the cast all do a really good job. I think the storyline is very interesting. And, you know, Bo Svensson does very good as the homophobic detective. I mean, he has to be one of the most, like, smug, you know, egotistical, you know, like, just somebody you want to see get punched in the face, you know, type characters that I've ever seen in a slasher movie. You know, but I mean, he does a really good job in the movie. I think I absolutely love the whole idea of Aunt Cheryl's. You know, she's kind of, you know, a little weird even in the very beginning when she's still kind of normal, but by the end, I mean, she's completely insane. You know, there's like no bringing her back after that, and you know, and then she the opening scene in the log truck. I couldn't get that out. But the log truck scene I thought was very, very well done, because the log just kind of goes through the driver's side screen and hits the driver in the face, and then just kind of goes right up his face. It's really painful to watch. But no, I mean, I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. I thought that the little cat fight in the pond was kind of funny. Let's see. So I'm gonna say, well, what do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I'm on the fence about the slasher credentials of the movie, because you know, on the one hand, Susan Tyrrell, as you said, does a great Mrs. Voorhees impression, particularly in those last 20-25 minutes or so. But I have this overriding sense that this isn't really a slasher movie as such. It doesn't feel like one to me. It feels like a drama with these occasional horror elements. But it does, when you look at it, have a lot in common with something like Psycho. And also the movies that were inspired by whatever happened to Baby Jane. So, you know, the crazy old lady movies like Who Slew Auntie Roo and What's the Matter with Helen and Nocturne by Susie and the Banshees.
Oh, Erik. Oh, goodness sake.
So, you know, it doesn't feel like a slasher to me, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. I think it's a very good movie. I find parts of it very entertaining. I like the subversive twist of having kind of two villains in the film. You've got Susan Tyrrell, who's going around doing the murdering, but then you've got as you said, the horrible, obnoxious detective played by Bo Svensson, who's even more reprehensible, I think, than the killer. You know, his homophobia is quite startling. And I remember when I watched this for the first time all those years ago, I was kind of wondering, oh my God, is he going to be set up as the hero now? Because, you know, films of this era could get away with being kind of politically incorrect, I suppose. But thankfully, he isn't set up as the hero. In fact, the hero is the gay basketball coach, is kind of the one who sort of saves the day at the end. So that was nice. So it was nice to see the villains get their comeuppance, including the politically incorrect one. For me, the film feels kind of TV movie-ish, you know, kind of a subversive TV movie. I don't know if this was because of the various retitlings, but the credits at the start looked really cheap, as if it was, you know, a TV movie, basically. And there were long stretches in the film where I thought, how on earth did this end up as a video nasty? Because there's nothing terribly nasty, but then something will happen, like someone's arm gets chopped off, or you know, various sort of murders, particularly in that last stretch of the film, which probably kind of justifies it. Well, it doesn't justify its video nasty status, but you can see why. Also, the cover of the UK sleeve had that a picture of Susan Tyrrell dressed, you know, scantily clad but drenched in blood, which probably alerted the authorities to the film. I do like the way Julia in the film has a kind of Terminator-like resistance to the multiple beatings she gets. I mean, we were talking about that character in Texas Chainsaw Massacre getting hit with a sort of meat hammer, whatever it's called. I'm not sure, a meat tenderizer, whatever it is. She survives that, and then she's sort of hit with a rock and, you know, thrown downstairs, whatever, and she still survives. I think the opening sequence, as you were saying, Nathan, is spectacular. It's a precursor to, I think in Final Destination 2 they do something quite similar with a log going through a windscreen. Am I right? Yeah. I think it's really well done in this film. Like, you can really almost feel the impact of the log on that poor dude's head. So I think it's a good movie, but for me, it's probably not popcorny enough for it to justify repeat viewings. I don't know if I will be revisiting this again anytime soon, as good as the film is. Whereas, I suppose just my personal taste, something trashier is something I'll go back to more and more. It's probably a compliment that the film is so plot heavy that it's not worthy. It's not worthy. What am I trying to say? It's not, doesn't have that repeat viewability for me, but I do like it. Yeah. So thumbs up.
Awesome. Joseph.
I would agree with Eric. I mean, it starts with that really spectacular car crash sequence, and then it becomes more of an actor's movie than it does a slasher film with all these weird characters. It reminded me a lot of, I guess, a better version of something like Mountaintop Motel Massacre, with all the kookiness going on, all the weird, strange characters and all their quirks. Susan Tyrrell, playing basically overplaying the motherly type to this kid who she's taken in. I thought there was some really weird undertones going on with their relationship there, obviously. Who steals the movie for me is he's such a, it's Bo Svensson. I think he's so good in the film. He's so hateable, and you just want to kill him, but he acts it, kind of out of the park. I think he's the best actor in the film, if I'm honest, next to Susan Tyrrell, maybe. I just think, as much as I hate his character, I think just the way he's written and how he antagonizes everyone is just really well done. So, when he does, I guess, kind of get his comeuppance, it's well deserved. I don't know. It's like, like Eric said, the slasher kind of trappings are kind of few and far in between. And it feels more like I don't want to say a made-for-TV film to me, because it definitely has some high production value. But it just feels like this really weird drama that someone put together and said, you know what, I think it needs a punch here and there, so let's throw in some murders. That's not a knock against the film. I think, overall, I would give it a marginal thumbs up. But I think, I don't know. I think some of the drama could have been kind of scaled back a little bit to kind of make room a little bit more for the horror elements, in my opinion. But overall, it's a good 1 or 2 time watch. Like Eric, it's not something I can go back to time and time again. Something like I don't even know what I'd compare it to.
Bloody Moon.
Yeah, something.
Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Something in comparison that's a lot like it, but has more of a rewatchability factor. But I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. So thumbs up for me for the the wild and wacky characterization, some really good cinematography, and some glossy production values. As far as being a slasher film, yes and no. Just kind of a mixed one for me.
Okay, Justin.
I would agree that it's kind of it doesn't really settle into a kind of slasher groove, really, does it, until the last 20 minutes. But I think when it does finally do that, it is quite remarkable, especially Susan Tyrrell, who is I think quite incredible. And I think Eric kind of hit the nail on the head with that kind of the old crone. She really goes over the top, and you could imagine a Bette Davis, especially a Bette Davis, doing a similar type of thing. But I find I think it's a really interesting film, and I think the whole homophobia, incest angles and stuff. Although obviously incest is very much implied, it's implied pretty heavily, isn't it? That the aunt is sort of lusting after her. Well, it actually turns out to be her son, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. I think actually,
which makes it weirder.
Makes it weirder. But the fact that there's the scenes like Susan Tyrrell in the bush, like hiding in a bush and purring like a cat, just things like that are just kind of batshit crazy kind of things that you just wouldn't see in a film today, which kind of I love. Now, one that I've got 2 words for you, and Nathan, you might get this reference, but Rosemary Ackerman.
Oh yes,
yes,
I do.
Yeah, because I was watching it, and it's the first time it occurred to me. I thought, well, I love the nosy neighbour. I think was it Margie, who is keeps on turning up when she turns up at the house, and it's just like Rosemary Ackerman in Serial Mom. And I thought I've never actually seen it said, and it may well be, it might be said, but whether John Waters was a fan of this movie, because obviously he cast Susan Terrell in Crybaby, didn't he? Some years later. So, but the character Margie is exactly like the Rosemary Ackerman, kind of the nosy character, and it was just that kind of slightly. I just find that it's quite funny that her kind of skulking around the house and accidentally hearing or overhearing all these terrible secrets coming out, but still not leaving. She in the end she gets gets slashed across the stomach with a machete in that kind of the final slasher movie section. I mean, it is kind of it's a product of its time, but very few other slasher movies or horror movies or any movies really would have dealt with like the homophobia angle. And I think the Bo Svensson's character is so over the top, kind of pantomime bad. I mean, he's quite clearly blinded to the truth of the matter, isn't he? By his homophobia, he just won't. He's decided on an angle, which is that that Billy is involved with the coach and the first guy who gets killed by Susan Terrell's character, that they were in something like love trio, and he just won't let it go, will he? He just keeps on going and going and going, even when the facts are patently obvious that that's not what's happened.
I think it's a sackable offence to have sex with one of your students.
I would have thought so, but
yeah.
He didn't know, did he?
No, he didn't.
No.
I wouldn't have minded.
What, with the coach? I bet you, yes. Yeah. But of course, the other, obviously, Bill Paxton, who is sadly no longer with us, is in this as well as a kind of. He doesn't really get to do very much in it, really, does he? He doesn't. It's not like in Mortuary, where the other slash movie that he's in, where he actually has a much bigger part. In this, he's just like the asshole homophobic bully, isn't he? But he kind of disappears.
Practice for his role in Weird Science.
Yeah, but he disappears, doesn't he? Really, for he doesn't play any action. It doesn't come back into it at all in the closing kind of like third of the movie. I agree with Erik. I think it probably was. I still actually have the videotape, the pre-cert with Susan Terrell. I think it's that mixture of her covered in blood, but looking kind of giving what looks like a come-on, sort of like a seductive glance to the camera, covered in blood, and just almost her breasts revealed. That it probably kind of brought it to the attention of the authorities, and why it was video nasty. It's what the other thing is sort of mentioning about it being a TV, kind of looking like TV-esque. It's kind of weird. It's got like moments of ultra-violence, like the beginning with the decapitation and the hands being chopped off and the machete to the stomach and things like that. But the director William Asher was kind of he mostly did TV at that point. So this was a kind of like basically an oddity for him. So it kind of plays like a TV movie of the week, but then with bookended by sort of graphic acts of violence and sleaze. So but then again, it was the early 1980s and the 70s and early 1980s were a time that we'll probably never see again. But yeah, thumbs up for me. I enjoy the film. I think it's a good film, but it's not one that I regularly would come back to. It hasn't got high rewatchability for me.
I could see that. Did you guys feel bad for Margie?
Yeah. If only she grabbed her umbrella and got out of there when she was told to go.
I felt like, Cheryl gave her, plenty of opportunity to get away alive, but it's like she was just desperate to die because, she just will not leave when it's obvious Cheryl's not all there. Like, she's obviously losing it. And she just keeps skulking around that house. This is what it would have been like to see Rosemary Ackerman get killed.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you think it was? Do you reckon it was based on this, Nathan?
I don't know. I can see what you're talking about, though. I mean, this seems like a movie I could picture John Waters watching. It's very weird, and it's got a lot of crazy, stuff in it.
I mean,
is that the woman that gets killed with the frozen turkey?
No,
in Serial Mom. No,
she doesn't die. She's the one that she kind of when Kathleen, what's her name? Turner. Yeah, sorry, is on the phone to Dottie Hinkle, and she's going, and then Rosie Ackerman comes up the stairs, and she's sort of listening at the door.
She likes Fabergé eggs.
Yeah, she's like, hey, Dottie, you could at least apologize. I collect Franklin Mint.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think she dies in that, but yeah, that's where I sort of saw the comparison. But is there anything else, Nathan, you wanted to say before we move on to the background?
I just wanted to say that, just to reiterate that, I don't know why, but this is a movie I can rewatch. I've seen it, multiple times. So I have no idea. I think it's Susan Tyrrell's performance. I don't know what it is. It's kind of interesting to watch because she's actually kind of scary when she goes nuts. And I don't know about you guys, but in the scenes where she's fighting with Julie, it looks like she's really like pulling her hair really hard and stuff like that. Like there's one scene when they're in the water and she grabs the back of her hair and just pulls her back. And I was thinking that had to hurt.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't, but yeah, I mean, Susan Tyrrell was a character, wasn't she, in real life as well?
Yes.
I mean, she's again no longer with us, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some real kind of Baby Jane style method acting going in there.
What did we think of her new haircut?
It made her look younger, don't you think?
Sorry?
It made her look younger.
It did.
And then Margie was going, oh, yeah, she's a neighbour. Basically, I think she's wearing a wig through most of it, isn't she? And then she kind of hacks her hair with scissors, and then Margie comes in and sort of sees her. I thought, poor suffering Margie though, when she got those bloody handprints on her blouse, didn't she?
I know.
She wipes them on there.
She really does.
She comes in, she wipes her hands down Margie's back.
Like even after that incident, I'd be stepping away, going, "Okay, that was a bit weird," and I don't think I'd be going across that house again for a long time.
No.
Well, Margie, she loves to hang around that house with a crazy woman on a dark and stormy night.
Yeah. She's the equivalent of sort of one of those bimbo teenagers from a Friday the 13th sequel or something.
Yeah.
Who just doesn't know when to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's there was I think it was either a Fangoria or like the Video Watchdog. It was one of those magazines or movie books. That before the internet. And it was how I would find movies that I wanted to seek out, and this was one of them in there. And one of the things that the reviewer says is that the characters in this movie have a convenient and unbelievable way of hanging around despite clear indications they're about to get it. And I'm like, I picture Margie the whole time because, she, any normal person would have grabbed the umbrella when, Susan Tyrrell kind of looks at her and she's like, "You better go, Margie." And she says it very ominously. Anybody, I think, would have left at that point, but instead she goes back upstairs to eavesdrop.
I felt like I felt like Bo Svensson's character, he was pursuing of this angle that was never really going to pan out. I figured if he just had dinner at their house for one night, he could have had more than enough to arrest them all on. Just seeing how wacko they all are.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was interesting that the Jimmy Nichols character was kind of that he didn't have a problem with the coach being gay, did he? It was kind of both Svensson and Susan Tyrrell's character were both really homophobic, but it was kind of like Jimmy, who wasn't clearly wasn't gay, although he couldn't get it up with his girlfriend, could he? So who knows? I
know he gave her a really good scene too at one stage, didn't he?
Didn't she say they were in bed, weren't they? And she was saying,
they were going after hammer and tongs, I thought. No.
Well, I'm not sure because she says at one point to him, "Oh, don't worry, it happens to everyone," or something like that, doesn't she? So I got indication that he was kind of impotent, but he wasn't. The fact that he was kind of quite okay with the younger characters were. Quite okay with the coach being gay as the older characters, which I kind of thought was probably, I imagine whoever wrote it didn't write it in a homophobic way. Although it wasn't, it was also kind of like the stuff she was saying Susan Tyrrell, and obviously hadn't been raped, but they were basically making rape jokes in front of her, weren't they? Which was kind of presumably was done to kind of paint them in a really bad light as well. But not the most sensitive portrayal.
I mean, I agree with you. I think, it definitely wasn't written, to be homophobic because the most homophobic people in the movie are the bad guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, and like you said, I think Erik was saying, the hero is kind of the gay character, the hero of sorts, I guess.
Yeah.
Although he didn't seem particularly broken up about his lover being killed, did he?
No, he wasn't.
That
which
was
weird.
kind of surprised to me.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, and he didn't seem to he still seemed to be like really friendly and nice to Jimmy McNichol's character, even though it was his aunt who killed his lover.
Yeah. And the fact that the police actually thought it was him who'd killed his lover as well. So that didn't really pan out, but yeah.
No.
So should we go on to some background?
Yeah.
Nathan, what have you got for us? Sorry.
No, I actually have some stuff because I have the Code Red DVD.
Okay.
Oh wow, Justin, why don't you email the guy from Code Red and ask him if that's the UK version that he has on the DVD?
Well, that's why you're not allowed.
I'm just curious to know if it is.
I'm sure Bill would be very happy to tell me.
Sure he would.
Such delightful conversations in the past.
Yeah.
It's like when he announced Fatal Games was coming out on Code Red about 5 years ago, and it still hasn't turned up.
But we you have to order it, through a very niche website, and you have to be living sort of within 20 yards of the distribution warehouse to actually buy it.
Yeah.
So.
But no, I'm curious because that the release you've got, is that the one with the Susan Terrell interview on it?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, obviously, because no Code Red movies are allowed out of the United States.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, no, Bill doesn't like. He has a mania against anyone from outside the United States, I think.
Yeah, he certainly does.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll be doing any commentaries for them.
No,
I don't think so.
Probably not. The background I have is the role of Cheryl was written for Patty Duke.
Oh.
Can y'all picture her playing that? Because I mean, like you said, the filmmaker was did a lot of TV movies. So I mean, Patty Duke did a lot of TV movies. So I can see why, she might have been considered. Daryl Hannah and Ali Sheedy both auditioned for the role of Julie.
Well, I can see both of them in it.
Interesting, yeah.
They were both in slasher movies, weren't they? Around this time, well.
What was Ali Sheedy in?
Deadly Lessons.
Yeah. Sorry?
Oh yeah.
Deadly Lessons, the TV slasher.
Right.
Also with Bill Paxton.
And of course, Daryl Hannah was in Final Terror.
Mm-hmm.
The Final Terror. Jan DeBont worked as a cinematographer on the film. He actually did the... Well, excuse me.
I can't believe you're correcting his
pronunciation again. Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't you correct my pronunciation at the very beginning of the quiz?
Because I was winning.
Oh, okay.
And we all won.
He did the car crash. And on the Code Red disc, the makeup artist gives an interview and gives a very interesting story. Now, he's the one that says this, so I'm just paraphrasing what he said, but he said that Bo Svensson got a little too chummy with one of the wardrobe girls, and she decked him.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that would have been kind of crazy to see.
Big Bo Svensson got what was coming to him.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
The explosion at the very beginning was used in another infamous film.
Oh, God.
Voodoo Massacre. My very first Voodoo Massacre.
Starring Hazel Tankersley.
Yes. The explosion in that movie, I filmed the TV when Night Warning was playing, and I filmed that explosion, and then I inserted it into my movie, so it looks like my mom's car blew up.
Yeah. I bet it was seamless.
Yeah, it's so seamless. So that was some great trivia that I knew none of you would have.
No.
Well, that's true. We didn't have that.
Yeah, the Susan Tyrrell interview on the...
Call that trivia more as I caught a warning. A nightmare.
I wanted to just discuss it just a little bit so people would, know what they'd be in for with that interview. She doesn't remember a thing about this movie. Not much at all. She hates it and has no problem saying that she hates it. And they watched the movie with her. And basically, you're kind of, in the interview, you're kind of watching her reaction to the movie as she's watching it. And, you know, like there's a scene with Jimmy McNichol getting in the shower and you can see his butt and she's just like, oh, God, what a butt. Like, I mean, she's very candid, you know. I mean, she is a character in that interview. I mean, she was just a lot of fun to watch. She was really funny. And by the end of the movie, she's like, I think I like this movie now. So it looked like she might have changed her mind after watching it. But, you know, she kind of just mentions that, you know, like the fight scenes, you know, shooting those. And she talks about how much she absolutely despises being covered in that red, like Karo syrup type blood. And she actually kind of mentioned that it's just so sticky, and it cuts to the scene of her in the movie wiping her hands off on Margie's back when she comes in. So I was like, I almost made me wonder, did she just do that because she didn't like having it all on her hands? But no, I mean, it's a fun interview. I think that people would, you know, get a kick out of watching it because, you know, she's very interesting. But, you know, that's all that I have. My best trivia, I believe, was the Voodoo Massacre trivia.
I have Voodoo Massacre up on YouTube here. I'm trying. Whereabouts in the film is the explosion?
It's like towards the beginning. It's right after the voodoo doll appears and they all run out of the room.
Okay, I'm going to try and find that. I like the voodoo doll. Is it made from coconut shell?
Yes, it's a they call it a coconut monkey.
All right.
He's very evil in this film, though.
Yeah.
He looks friendly, but he's not friendly.
Okay, I'll keep you alerted when that scene arrives.
Okay.
In the meantime, Joseph, do you have any background?
Well, Nathan covered most of it, but the film's French title, which I will not even begin to pronounce, is
I will.
Translates to On the Verge of the Nightmare, and another alternate title it had was The Evil Protege, which was its BBFC's submitted title, which was again rejected by the BBFC. It was nominated for a Saturn Award for the Best Horror Movie of 1982 by the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror. Though no one involved in the film's creative process has ever given an on-record interview about it. Apparently, it's based on a novel called Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. I have a huge interview with the director that our good friend Kieran Edwards sent over. However, it's a flattened document, so I wasn't able to like copy and paste the text and go through all the generous bits about Night Warning. But maybe I'll scan it and put it on Facebook for people to read. So that's all the background info I have.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. How about you, Erik?
Okay, well, the film was edited by Ted Nicolau, who went on to become quite a prolific director, mainly for Charles Band. So he did things like Terror Vision and Subspecies, Bad Channels. He also edited, actually, Tourist Trap before this. That Saturn Awards thing, I found something slightly different. It was nominated for Best Low Budget Feature at the 9th Saturn Awards in 1982. That's not the same award ceremony you were mentioning, Joseph, or was that different?
I think it's the same one. I'm not certain.
Okay. Well, anyway, it lost out to Fear No Evil, which was the Frank Loggia, I can't never know how to pronounce his name. Loggia, maybe, yes. Yeah. As you say, it came out in video in the UK under the title Nightmare Maker, and was banned as a video nasty. And then in July of 1987, a company called Film View Video tried to resubmit it under the title The Evil Protege, and it was rejected.
I've already said that.
Yeah, Joseph already said that, for goodness sake.
I know he said that, but he didn't specify that this was in 1987 after it had been banned. That's what I'm stressing with this piece of trivia, okay? And he also did not mention that it was Film View Video that tried to submit it. Okay?
Okay.
No.
Everyone happy now?
Mm-hmm. No. You're fired.
Susan Terrell went on shortly after this. Okay?
Yeah.
She was in a film called Angel with Donna Wilkes, who we've already mentioned on the show today. And she was also in the bizarro Richard Elfman movie, which came out on Arrow Blu-ray a few years ago, called Forbidden Zone. I'd never seen it before, but I bought the Blu-ray, and it's something to behold. It's very weird. And she was also in things like Andy Warhol's Bad, and she was Oscar nominated for her role in a John Huston movie called Fat City, which is not about me, Justin, before you say anything.
Oh, Eric, I would never do that.
Forbidden Zone, is that the one with Eric Braeden from
I have
one of the
no
soap operas? I can't remember.
I have no idea who Erik Braeden is. A lot of it's in black and white, and it's kind of a musical, and it's weird. Yeah.
I'll look that up.
Yeah. Did you know that Daryl Hannah and Ali Sheedy both auditioned for the role of Julia?
No, get out.
No way. There
you go. Yes, and Jan de Bont, he filmed the decapitation scene. Did you know that? And that's fresh information.
Wow.
Yeah, but he went on to direct classic movies like Speed 2 and The Haunting remake, which I know we're all big fans of, and possibly cover on the podcast in future episodes. Jimmy McNichol was a popular teen actor in the late 70s. He's the older brother of Christy McNichol, and they used to perform as a singing duo in the late 70s. There's a terrific video of them online I saw this morning when I was just looking stuff up, performing a song called He's a Dancer on the Dick Clark Show in 1978. And it's kind of a far cry from that to, appearing naked in a sort of semi-slasher movie. What else do I have? Julie A. Davis went on to be in Wacko, the Graydon Clark slasher spoof movie, which came out more around the same time. Bo Svensson was in a lot of low-budget European horror movies in the 80s. He was in things like Amok Train, Primal Rage. I'm not sure if this was European, but Curse 2, The Bite, the one about the guy turning into a snake. But then he had kind of a renaissance later in his career, courtesy of Quentin Tarantino. He's in Kill Bill and Inglourious Bastards. The gay television repairman. What's his slasher connection, everyone? Do you know?
You like him?
No. This is the TV repairman who's murdered by Susan Terrell. He's only in it for a second. He's played by an actor called Kasky Swaim. And when I saw his name appear in the credits, I was like, I recognize that name. He plays Roy's work colleague, the other paramedic in Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. He's the one who says, and get your hands dirty. That's him.
Bunch of pussies.
And did you know that the hairdresser punched Bo Svensson?
No way.
Was it the hairdresser?
Yeah, that's what it said.
Okay. Did you also know that Voodoo Massacre used a scene from this film?
It is. That's brand new information again.
Yeah. I'm glad I could bring that up to you, Eric.
Yeah.
This podcast would be good for people with amnesia.
Do not question my background. I was listening to Joseph. I was just expanding on a point he made, okay?
Well, yeah, okay, Eric, but guess what? I won the quiz.
I won the quiz too.
With me. Eric, have you finished? Is that you?
Yeah, that's me finished.
Okay, thank you. Well, I've got a few bits. One is I was going to mention about Evil Protege, but not for the reasons we've already said. But I wanted to...
Joseph already mentioned that.
No, the reason...
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear. The reason I was going to say was I couldn't really understand what was Evil Protege, what was it meant to be, because there isn't an Evil Protege in the film, is there?
I don't think so.
No. So it didn't make any sense. That was the only reason.
There's not a night warning in the film either.
No, there is a night, but not a warning. But also, I'm surprised you didn't mention that the gay the coach also had a slash movie connection. Do you know what that is?
Ooh. I was looking him up, as you can imagine.
Oh,
maybe
he was in. I know he was in Houseboat Horror with Alan Dale.
Close.
He was Roy in Friday the 13th, Part 5.
No, he was close, but he played a cop. He was a cop in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, in Freddy's Revenge.
No, Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yeah, Freddy's Revenge.
Oh, Freddy's Revenge. Sorry, yes. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I see. We're back up to our usual high standards.
Yes.
He was also in The Hidden as well. Julia Duffy was in Wacko the same year, the slasher movie.
I said that.
Oh, did you? I wasn't listening. Did you talk about the makeup artist?
Oh, yes, Punchy Bob Svensson, yes.
No, not necessarily that one. Erica Ullard.
Oh, sorry, I don't know.
Erika Euland. She was. She worked. Did makeup on Halloween, the original Halloween, Schizoid in the Fog, before she did this. The other thing I found. Let me just find it. It has a lot of AKAs. As Joseph said earlier, it was based on a book which came out in 1981, Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, by Joseph Burgo and Richard Natal. Is I think it was based on, the film was based on a story by Alan J. Gluckman and Boone Collins, but the film had quite a few different AKAs I found on the copyright site. It was obviously, as we know, it's Night Warning, came out as Night Warning. It's Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. In the UK, it came out as Nightmare Maker, but it was also had the AKAs of Mama's Boy, Mama's Dead, Scared to Death, Thrilled to Death, and, well, it's a Nightmare Maker. So it had loads of AKAs. So, but I think that's about all the background I've got.
One thing I forgot to mention about the film is in the car crash sequence at the beginning. Oh God, the echo.
Oh, just get over it.
We'll try to get through this.
Get a grip.
Anyway, the one thing I forgot to mention about the car crash sequence is the production value is like really high. I think the reason why it's contrasted so well is because it was shot by Jan de Bont, and he went on to become a famous cinematographer.
Oh God, here we go.
Jan
de Bont, Jan de Bont, yeah.
Yeah, and he went on to be a director as well on films like Speed 2 and The Haunting remake.
Well, didn't he direct the first?
Oh, I love The Haunting remake.
Yeah, he did direct First Speed as well.
Yeah.
He also had a really goofy sister called Marcia.
Marcia de Bont. Marcia. Yeah.
She made like movies that were just slightly better.
Yes. Or utilizing ideas that Jan de Bont had come up with first.
Exactly.
Jan de Bont, apparently he punched Bo Svensson at some point.
He punched Alan Dale on the set of Neighbours.
And he had an imaginary boyfriend called George Glass.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, one last thing I forgot to mention was, I think you did mention this, Nathan, about, I don't know if it's the makeup artist that's on the interviewed, but I saw on IMDb he's still making films. He did Suicide Squad, and he did Captain America, but also he did the FX, some of the FX from Friday the 13th Part 3. Is his name Alan Apone?
Yeah, Alan Apone, I'd say.
Yeah. He did Silent Rage, which obviously is one of Nathan's favourite movies. Faces of Death, Galaxy of Terror. And so he's been working, constantly, pretty much. But yeah, he did the special effects on this movie. So yes. So is that us? Have we given a night warning? Are we fair warning that that's us done on the film?
That's us done. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's just pause for a minute, and we'll play how to get in contact with the show, and also because Joseph, you've done a special new contact us section, haven't you?
The content of this podcast was provided by Justin Kurzweil, Erik Frillfall, Nathan Johnson, and Joseph Henson. If you enjoy our program and are willing and able to provide a donation, please visit us on Patreon and become a content-designated subscriber. That's patreon.com/The Hysteria Continues. For non-subscriber PayPal donations and general feedback, our address is the.hysteria.continues@gmail.com. To listen and interact, simply search for The Hysteria Continues on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Susie versus Toya forever.
Love it.
Lovely. So, well, do we have, presumably, feedback from the Facebook group? Did you put something up, Joseph, for Night Warning?
Yes.
You did?
Do you
want to talk? Yes, okay.
Sure. Let me pull this up here. Amanda Reyes, who may or may not have been on the show recently, says, Night Warning screened at the Alamo's Terror Tuesday recently. I had not seen the movie in years, and it played really well on the big screen. Susan Tyrrell is amazing as the half-cocked aunt with an overbearing wannabe mother complex, and Bo Svensson is perfect as her nemesis. The themes of homophobia are actually quite frank and honest, and sometimes uncomfortable, considering when this was made, and rather effective in the film as a whole. But even aside from the underlying political themes, this is really about Tyrrell going cuckoo for Cuckoo Puffs, and I love it. Let's see. Scott Pliskin says, Night Warning is definitely a better title than the ridiculous Full Moon style title Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker. I would not agree with that. Noteworthy for an early Bill Paxton role. Also Julia Duffy from Newhart showing her boobies. And of course the sensitive, politically correct treatment of gay people. That was from Scott Pliskin. Bob Hartshorn says, literally just caught up with this via YouTube. The great Final Destination 2-like prologue leading straight into an inspired riff on Psycho had me jumping with joy. Sleazy, cheesy, homoerotic, and barmy with a young William Paxton to boot. This one has the lot. Mad Auntie Susan Tyrrell, rest in peace, is almost scenery devouring, bonkers enough to see off the entire cast. But gets edged at the post by Bo Svensson's maverick detective, a lawman so unorthodox and toxic he makes Dirty Harry look like Serpico. Kudos to David Cook for the Trump comparison. I guess David Cook mentioned something later. I'll get to that. 35 years on, and Joe Carlson is still resonating bad vibes. Billy Lynch and Coach Landers for president and vice president, respectively. Thank you, Night Warning. Enroll me in the fan club, please. Let's see. Joshua Grattan says, fantastic film. I like that Asher goes from I Love Lucy and Beach Blanket Bingo films to one of the darkest pictures of the 1980s. You can almost see the happy-go-lucky nature of his 50s, 60s era in Billy and Julie, which is shattered when crazy Aunt Cheryl steals the scenes. Having two villains, one incest-loving murderess, the other a bigoted prick, was brilliant. Jimmy McNichol's butt is a highlight. It's great to see Bill Paxton in another slasher, as well as Mr. Sims from Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's a freaky 80s light version of the Final Destination 2 crash. The cat noises Cheryl makes as she touches Billy's sleeping skin is an already weird foreshadow for the film, for the milk bathing scene. And the insanely violent final act doubles as heavily atmospheric. We also get Margie acting as comic relief, but whose character becomes more serious and sympathetic the closer she gets to the truth. I also think it's rather forward-thinking to have a young male teenager in the 80s not treat his gay coach with any difference after he is outed, even if Billy's sexuality is intentionally left in a gray area. Near perfect film and makes my top 20 slashers list, if not my top 10. And here's the David Cook little Donald Trump missive. The Donald Trump-like detective with his loose grasp of the facts steals the movie. Hats off to the actor for pulling off such a hard role that he didn't mind playing such an unsympathetic prick. Dave Rendon. Yeah. Dave Rendon says, just wrapped it up on what I call lunchroom theater, which means I watched it on YouTube on my break at work. It was a little surprising to see Julia Duffy pull a nude scene or two, considering her Newhart character was so uptight. And what's with the title? I get the night part, but where's the warning? I have to apologize on behalf of all straight men of time, because this was following Bo Svensson's heroic turn as legendary Tennessee lawman Sheriff Buford Pusser. But I'm sure Nathan and Joseph already know who he is. Well, is that some kind of southern knock? I don't know, but whatever.
Well, I mean, he's talking about Walking Tall.
Yeah, I know. Mitch King says, I fucking love Night Warning. A definite top 10 for me. Plus, it's one of the only 80s slashers that even skirted the issue of homosexuality, even though it's a pretty negative portrayal. The gay coach is super hot.
Who said that?
Mitch King.
Oh, yeah. Mitch and me are on the same wavelength.
Yeah. Justin White says, I love it, but has there ever been a more despicable character in a slasher movie? I guess that's not the killer than the detective in this movie. And that's up for debate. Justin White. Darren Burrows says, underrated little gem this. Wish it would get a Region 2 release. John Matthews says, more to this one than it seems. A dark tale of incest themes and homophobia disguised as a slasher. Adam Dillon says, just watch the trailer. I'll give it a look. Is Mutilator on the horizon? It just may very well be. Okay. And Andrew Rooney says, they don't make them like this anymore. Grimy, sleazy, sweaty, and slimy, like Eric's breast on the Resurrection Drunk Cast.
Like my breasts or my breath?
Your breasts. Justin Fioca, I guess that's his last name, says, wasn't his day. The poor guy didn't even get his pecker out. Yeah, that's the other cop. Chad Hemsley says, haven't seen it in years. Own the pre-cert VHS. Not one of my favorites from the Nasties era, but I'll have to watch it again. I think it was more the grisly cover image that got it into trouble with PC Plod than any of the movie's content. Anthony Michael Dorgan says, brilliant and super atmospheric. Frederica Ferrari says, I love this movie. Susan Tyrrell was great in it. Corey Gates says, most depressing slasher movie award. Donnie Ibarra says it's decent. Alan Dorich says it's a great film. Jason N. Norton loves this, and Ewan can't love it, although he does love it. And that's it.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for writing in. Always good to hear from you and your opinions on the film. The film I'm going to choose as a follow-up to this for next time. I'd be surprised if many of you seen it. I'm not going to mention it yet, but sorry, you got some more feedback, have you, Joseph?
No. I just wanted to do another round of the game.
Oh, yes.
The game thing I've been doing. So.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Tristan Comer guessed it correctly the last time, and that was the last horror film. So currently, Tristan Comer is in the lead with 2. Joshua Grattan has 1 point, and Robert Chardello has 1 point. And the 3 clues to the next movie are, number 1, 125. Number 2, character and actor equals the same. And number 3, last appearance. So there you go.
Excellent. Okay, well, good luck, everyone. So what are we going to play out with before I announce the film? We've got something very special, haven't we?
Yes.
Or have we?
In honor of Erik leaving us.
I'm coming back.
But then coming back. We're playing out with Turn Your Back on Me by Kajagoogoo.
Yay!
Yeah. So it'll be 5 seconds of that.
This is an awesome tune.
Okay.
Yes,
Justin,
it is.
Justin, do you know the song? No, you don't. So how can you prejudge it?
Well, because I watched Kajagoogoo the other night on Top of the Pops 1983
yeah, that's
or 84.
Utopia. That's a different song.
But that's awful, wasn't it? That song is.
No, it's all right.
Well, it hasn't even got. There's no hook. There's not even a chorus. But anyway,
yeah, and Susie's songs are full of melody.
Oh, come on, Erik. Come on.
Spellbound has no melody.
Of course it does.
It doesn't.
It's like a pounding. It goes pounds forward in a musical majesty. But anyway, going on to next time, I've got a little bonus question for you. So, Erik, you could actually win if you get this right. So you've got to guess what the film is that I'm going to be covering next time. And your first clue is I've got the video box in my hands. Now listen. Yeah. Can you tell what it is?
How's he going to guess that he didn't download it?
It's like one of your quizzes, Joseph.
Yeah, it's like one of Joseph's quizzes. Yeah. It's like a Phoebe's quiz. What's my favorite thing about trees?
So why are you complaining?
Yeah. No. Okay. Well, the other clue is, as I mentioned while we were having a loo break, it's featuring somebody that we've spoken about in this podcast, who was one of the answers in the quizzes. It's a slasher movie featuring her from the early 1980s. Any guesses? It's quite obscure, so you may not. Some of you may not never have seen it. I'll give you another clue. It's in my review on Hysteria Lives, I make a quip about the calls coming from inside her hair.
Is it the PJ Souls movie?
Yes.
What is the name of it?
The one which goes to Australia, is it?
Yeah,
yes, Innocent
I can't
Prey.
remember the name of it.
With Martin Balsam. It's So I just thought
something about phones or something. Is it? No.
Innocent Prey.
That's it, Innocent Prey phone thing.
Yeah. And I can remember, I haven't seen it for years, but I remember I just looked at a glance at my review and I said it's a bit like Falcon Crest crossed with a slasher movie. So I imagine, have you all seen it?
Yes.
A long time ago.
Yeah, okay. Well, I just thought it'd be quite a fun one to do. Keeping on the early 80s vibe, although, so that's what we're going to be covering next time. So if you have seen it, then please do comment on it. Although I do recognise it's probably quite an obscure one, but given it's PJ Souls and it's kind of horror royalty, it should be better known. So I think we should have fun talking about that one, hopefully. So,
Erik did not get the point, so you and I still win.
Yeah, we still win.
I said it was the one where she goes to Australia, so I got the points.
Yeah, but after Nathan got it right.
Nathan didn't say the name of the film.
But anyway.
And Nathan's not in the quiz because he was the quiz master.
Yeah. But let's just move on, shall we? I think you should be magnanimous in defeat, Erik. But anyway, so that's been a very long one, I think, isn't it? Let's have a look. Oh,
yes.
We've had longer.
Yeah.
But well, thanks for joining us, and good to have Erik back, even though he never went away, really. So, but who knows what drama is going to be unfolding over the next weeks, months, years if the Hysteria continues. Yes, well, thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next time. So join us on the Hysteria Continues. Say goodbye to the good people.
Goodbye, good people.
Au revoir, creeps.